We shot an entire short film in just 2.5 days, with more than 100 frames. 3 locations, crazy weather, and barely any margin for an error for the schedule. So today, I will show you how we created a passion project in the middle of nowhere, in the cold, with no power. We shot everything on the Blazar Remus, and I instantly fell in love with them. We had the 33mm, the 50mm, and the 85mm. It was my first time using them. They are clean in the center, soft on the edge, with a distortion that gives me the image, dreamy, slightly off-balance feel. Maki made a lot of video about those lenses. That's where I first discovered them. Oh boy, he was right. Blazar is giving us some real gem for less than half of the price compared to other anamorphic. Of course, they are not perfect, but I mean, anamorphic never are. And honestly, for this price, you can't really complain. It's exactly what I wanted for my modern tale we wanted to show.
Séquence 1, scène 1, plan 1B, deuxième.
One of the biggest challenges on this project was time, like always. I mean, we had a lot of scenes to shoot in a very little time. We shot almost 107 frames in 2.5 days. So I spent hours building a short list on Milanote, scene by scene, so that level of preparation was crucial. It gave us structure, clarity, and it saved real time on set. Still, with the weather flipping every 15 minutes, we had to make sacrifice. Some shots that we planned didn't make it. Not every frame was masterfully lit or composed, and it was a bit frustrating, but I'm still willing to let it go, because sometimes you just can't control everything all at once, and the story needs to come first, before the composition.
Est-ce qu'on le reprendrait pas plus tard, ce plan, genre en fin d'après-midi un petit peu? Le temps que le soleil il soit moins haut comme ça.
Un peu moins haut.
Sinon on fait ça alors, ouais, ok.
Et il s'éloigne, et non ça on le fera, il s'éloigne ensemble, et tu auras la fleur. Ce serait bien qu'on fasse tout d'une traite. Il y a la fleur, ouais. Tu fais tout en fait, on fait la scène entière. Allez, tu t'approches, elle tend, tu donnes, et vous partez.
We choose to shoot all the outdoor scenes during day one, and we choose well. It was the sunniest, most stable weather of the 3 days. The entire shot takes place in the large forest, and the look needed to be natural but contrasty. So the setting was perfect to play with all the deep green in the background with the forest and the woods, paired with a colorful hiking vest for the actress. We had a lot of discussion about this color. At first we wanted to go blue, but she disagreed because the actress is the director too. She did the right choice because the blue would have been way appealing. It gave us a great separation and it was really pleasant to look at. But because of the time constraint and for the easiest solution, we used natural lights only for most of the outdoor scene. We worked with reflectors, diffusion frames and negative fields as much as we could. Because I didn't have enough money, I reused my cheap DIY 6x6 PVC frame. It gave us enough surface area to have enough key to bounce or block sunlight for both actor ounce. And yeah, larger is always better. But like I told you, the sun was incredibly unstable. Every few minutes it will disappear or explode through the trees. So maintaining the exposure was a consistent war. But when it worked, it really worked. We covered a lot of ground that day, almost half of the film's runtime in one go. The night scene, in other hand, were more stressful, technically. We were a bit behind schedule and the weather was starting to turn. So I had to rethink completely the lighting setup. To shift from day to night, I wanted the match cuts to create a real impact on that scene. The character is lost in the forest, she starts running, so it really enhanced the feeling of it with time passing.
Moi, je suis en trépied aujourd'hui majoritairement.
Ok.
Après voilà, je fais aussi pleuvoir de la lumière.
Ça vous plaît comme métier?
Oui, bah après c'est à temps partiel, voilà. C'est à peu près une cinquantaine d'heures par semaine, donc je fais ça quand j'ai le temps, quoi.
Inside the woods, the light was non-existent at all. So I tried to emulate a moonlight look, placing a strong 500B across the trees, and my stand wasn't tall enough. So I added another 200B in the back to try to fill a little bit the forest, but it wasn't really enough. So that's why we didn't make that much wide on the forest at night, because it really looked fake and it was really out of the mood we wanted. That's why we just did the match cut, and after that we went to the running sequence at night. That one was total freestyle. The leader struggled a lot. We couldn't see anything while running, and someone had to chase us with a little 300 from Zion as a fill. Not a polished setup by any means, but it was hilarious to see. And the last shot at night was in front of the cabin. The rain was starting, so we had to move fast. This was the shot where the lack of height on the stand really showed. I wanted a proper moonlight, but without more elevation, the lights looked less natural. And because we didn't add more time, I did with what I was possibly able to do. Took one light on the right, the most powerful one, the 500 from Zion, and I tried to put it on the tallest A I can. I wish I could have put another light behind the cabin, you know, to make some separation and to fill a little bit all the black we have. Like I said, Anamorphic was the obvious choice for me. This story feels like a fable, a modern hunting tale, so I wanted texture, I wanted distortion, something really immersive, a bit surreal. So that's why the Blazar lens gave me that. They are affordable, but full of character. Clean where they need to be, soft and strange where it matters. We shoot everything at around T4 and T8 to have the cleanest vision possible, because sometimes when you are going to open like T1 or T2, it really creates a big distortion and the edges are really soft. And I didn't want that for all the short film. But at night, or when we didn't add enough time to push out exposure or to create enough light, I had to go down to T2 or even 1.8 with the 33mm. And that's where the trouble started. I was operating the camera and pulling focus with the help of LiDAR was complicated. At T2, it became nearly impossible. A lot of shots were missed, and you might wonder why we didn't have a focus puller. Well, it was planned at first, but when we rented the gear and it arrived, surprise, the focus wheeling was not in the package and it was too late to find another one. So everything was with the LiDAR and manual focus with the LiDAR, of course, when it wasn't working. And yeah, shooting at 2.8 on anamorphic is really risky when there is a lot of movement, because 1 millimeter away and you lost the focus. For the day 2, we move into the cabin for all the indoor shots. No electricity, no light unless we turn on the setup. And the cabin was small, too small for the whole crew. We had to move gear constantly to every angle. We couldn't put it outside because, like I told you, the weather was really starting to go crazy and the wind was out and all the rain. And if you're wondering, I list most of the indoor scenes with Zion lights. They trust me again sponsoring these projects, so I'm really thankful about that. So I use the 500B, a 200B and some 300 for soft fill or special effects. And with this sample kit, we have been able to pull out some really nice looking frame. Speaking about light and setup, one of the biggest issues was the spill into the cabin. The cabin's walls were orange and the light bounced everywhere, making it difficult for the skin color and the ambient lights. So we used a lot of negative to block daylight at first from the bay window because we had too much entrance, but we didn't add enough room to control all the color spilling everywhere. So post-production was already announcing itself really hard. And in general, because we are creating modern story with modern house and electricity with lamp and stuff, it is way more easier to create motivate light. You know, you just took like that, even if not the correct example, this lamp, you have an enter point of light, so it is more natural visually. But in this cabin, we didn't have much light to motivate. Of course, we had the daylight with the windows, but that's it. Sometimes some candles. So the problem that happened was, okay, how can we motivate light without much practical and still looking natural? And I didn't want it to fall into the artificial lit scene. So what I tried was to show a lot of the cabin before moving into the mid and close-up, to fake motivate the light entrance. So that's why when the actress is entering in the cabin, we have those big wide on the front, on the back, at the top. Like that, your brain is typically seeing all the light coming from the bay window, the two little windows, all the little candles, and the big fire that's happening in the cabin. For the medium and the close-up, it was way more easier, even if we are not seeing them in the frame, because it was really small, like I told you. The brain just got adapt of the place, so you can do whatever you want.
Prends ma main. C'est bizarre.
Since the film has almost no dialogue, sound design and music became our emotional core. The silence, the breathing, the forest, everything needed to feel alive, even when nothing was happening visually. So while prepping and shooting, we always kept that in mind, making sure we had enough material to support the soundscape. Seeing the trees, seeing when she's walking, when she's taking something on the table. Like that, we will add some material and some texture in the sound. Day 3 was all about the car scenes, and it was, again, complicated technically. The car needed to be moving for the script, and this gave us even more complication. The road was bumpy, my section cup weren't high enough, so creating a constant light setup was impossible to all those factors.
Avance, avance. Stop. Marie, assieds-toi, retournez-vous.
So to expose the scene, we had to improvise. For the outside shot, we used the gimbal for smoothing the movement, paired with a reflector bouncing sunlight into the actor face. Tricky but doable.
Et action!
For the wide interior shot, we ran alongside the car with a Xeon 500 watts and a softbox to fill in shadow because the exposition difference with outside was huge. For the wide interior shots, the gimbal didn't fit, we didn't add enough space, so I went handle, and stabilization was a bit a nightmare due to the bump. I tried my best in post. For the close-up, we placed a C100 inside, adjusting dimming level depending on the sun and cloud in real time. Again, really tricky, but it worked. Right after the car scene, we still needed to shoot one last scene, one of the most important of this short film, where the plot twist is happening. So we initially planned to have this scene during a sunset, to have a really wonderful, cozy feeling. But the weather completely changed, and we had a lot of wind and a lot of cloud. So what we did, we pulled out a 500B and we directly aimed to the actor. In post-production, I did way more masking and tracking than I would. I tried to even out the exposure shifts and the light difference between shots. It was quite a challenge, but I really like it. I was definitely learning some stuff that I didn't do before this, and doing this grade made me want more monitor and a full Blackmagic panel. So Blackmagic, if you are seeing this video, please. Like always, it wasn't the perfect condition, but it was a pleasure to be reunited and film this with the whole crew that were at 100% in the project. So it was worth every second, and I hope you like this breakdown. Let me know in comment if you would like something more precise or anything else about this project, about light, shots, or whatever you want. And until next time guys, go out, keep creating, and ciao.